Good morning, angels. How are we all doing? Welcome back to Channel of Angel Guidance with myself, the Spirit of Jade. So today I wanted to read you a poem that I've wrote, and this poem is a reminder for me to remember that we are supported, that we are being guided, and that love is all around us. And I know that sounds so cliche and that we hear it all the time, and people say, but I don't feel it. Well, this is just a poem for you. Consider a new lens of perspective, that whatever or whoever is watching above adores you dearly. Consider the truth that you are loved, that you are worthy with a heart made of gold, a story to be told and a spirit born to be bold. To not hold on to pain, but to feel and transmute the learning into wisdom and gain. The growth from pragmatism to faith and belief, to the realization that life is not a race, but a journey to be faced with grace. All my love, angel guidance. Okay, so that poem to me, I wrote on the 1st of July. And recently my writings have revolved around, as they always have, self-development, self-love, and love in every respect. You know, love how we show up in the world, love how we show that to people that we love, which can be quite difficult to do sometimes when we haven't been shown the course, we haven't been shown the way. And also people love differently, people experience love differently, have different love languages. But that brings me into my video today on self-love. And self-love for me has been something that I've struggled with throughout the years, more so when I was younger and a little bit while I've been in my early 20s, just because it's so difficult to show up naturally and authentically in a world that wants to put you into a box, that wants to confine you into something and mold you into something and make you feel that what you feel doesn't matter, but you have to follow the status quo. And it can be so difficult as well, like what I've noticed is because I have always been quite a lone wolf. I've always had the free will to do what I want to do, which can make it difficult for people who have family expectations and people that have seen you through different versions of yourself that aren't willing to let those versions of you go while you move on to this new path. And this is where having people around you that believe in you, that want to see you happy. And I mean, it's difficult to say, isn't it? Like, people want to see you happy, but sometimes they also like the version that you are, and they can't accept that you're moving into a new phase of life, which, you know, isn't for you to maintain or alter yourself to make them feel comfortable. That's not your responsibility. All you can do is show up for yourself, and how beautiful is that sun coming out for us? A little sign there. I mention the sun because to me, when the sun comes shining through, I always think it's a sign from above. You know, especially when it's more of a gloomy day and you get that little ray of sun and you're reminded, you know, not to let the dampness get to you. And that's how life works. You know, you have dark days, you have light days, and sometimes you're in between, with gratitude and love and sadness and somber of everything that's going on. But that's the journey, that is the experience itself. Because if we was always in a constant state of happiness, or I was about to say absorption then, like absorbing happiness all the time, it might be a bit overwhelming. Like for me anyway, I'm such a romantic that I like the sadness that comes with when we're cracked open, when we're left in such shattered pieces that we have nothing left to do but to sit with it. And this is the power of building up yourself and building that character, building the strength within you that you can move forward with life in the faith and knowing that you are loved, you are guided, but more so you have yourself. You always have yourself. And that's why it's important to have that self-love, to have that groundedness, to have that fierceness to look in the mirror and say, I've got you, you know, you've got me, we're a great big family. I don't know why Barney keeps popping into my head. So the other day, the theme song of that came to my mind as well, and I haven't watched that for years, but maybe that's confirmation for someone. You know, I always think about these little shows that we've watched when we was younger, and what have I started watching again? Moomins. They love the living, the Moomins. I don't know if anyone's seen them or not, but they're on YouTube live streaming all the time. And I kind of just pop in and out sometimes just to watch it because the storylines are so good. Like when you have a storyline that has a moral compass. Sorry if that's quite loud on the mic. I've got all these little things that are like sticking to me. But yeah, like something that's got such beautifully soft animations and these pastel colours. It's not too abrupt on the eye, and the storylines, you've got all these different characters, and I love it as well because you can't usually decipher what the plot is, and I find with our today's creations of cartoons, it seems that people are kind of following what's already been or not being very unique with their shows. And I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any. I haven't seen too many to say if, you know, they are or they aren't. I'm kind of contradicting myself there, aren't I? But when I think, okay, just prime example. So when I think about, I watched an episode of Bob the Builder a few years ago, and I was just like, what is going on with this like screen? Like all the pixels, it's just so pristine. It just looks so unnatural to me. Like, why is it we're putting such vivid colours that aren't natural to the naked eye or natural in our world, that the children are then going to be hyperfixated on all these colours that aren't natural, and when they don't see it, they're going to be like, oh, this is a bit of a dull life, isn't it? And then they're kind of sapped into the social media or the digital world. And isn't that fascinating how the trees... I always feel like when stuff like that happens, the trees are speaking to me. They're like, yeah, Jade, we can hear you when we agree. There's such like... There's such a peaceful melody that goes with the trees. And I'm so blessed to be here. I'm so thankful to be here. I always give my gratitude when I enter a space or leave a space of woodland. And I always think to myself, even if I say it in my head, you know, thank you for having me. Thank you for holding me and looking after me, because the way that the trees connect to each other, and we're part of that, and that's why we feel so soft and centered when we're in nature. So back to this message of self-love. When I brought up about the family dynamics, which I think is very difficult for people, I've experienced it myself when I was growing up, where I felt confined to the being of what it was that people saw me as, and the characteristics I embodied at that point. And sometimes I fall back into that. I do, not in a negative way, but those trees are getting loud, aren't they? But I recognise when I let myself fall into this like childlike manner because I feel so comfortable, which is a good thing. And that's because I do love myself. You know, I don't judge myself. I allow myself to just be, and there's such a power in that. There's something that's priceless that no one can take away when you are truly living in your divine nature. And you know, the difficult thing with that is with people who have known you as a different version of yourself, they can sometimes take that as a negative thing that you're doing, or even more so, you're highlighting the parts of themselves that they haven't stepped into yet, and that triggers them. And that can be even more difficult for you to show up. But if you are in dynamics like that, one of the things that I've done is distance. You can obviously have your conversations first, have your communication of, look, I'm just trying to be myself and live my life so that I'm happy and content. And if that triggers you so much, then maybe we should distance ourselves from each other, because you have to be honest. Like, you're not going to be able to change someone's opinion, but you also shouldn't change yourself to alter that either. Sorry, I had to cut out there. So the more that I've decided to live for myself, sometimes the road gets lonely. Sometimes you're left in solitude and hermit mode for so long, but you're allowed to be yourself. You're allowed to curate yourself into this being without judgment, without, you know, the thought of who it might trigger. because you shouldn't have to alter yourself to not trigger people. Your life is yours to live, and you should live it. So in saying that, I hope this video helped you. If you had any insights, do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Although I do appreciate as well, this is quite a tender subject and vulnerable subject to speak on. So, you know, even if you just like or share, that's up to you. And in saying that, have a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching. All my love, angel guidance.